And it was just like, holy crap. There were like the reverberations were felt far and wide around the world, really. Steven to step down, I wonder if it really is just like the script or if he's realizing.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Hollywood's history is practically paved with ignored warnings. But every once in a while, a red flag is so loud, so unmistakably blinding, that brushing it off feels less like optimism and more like pure arrogance. And in this case, the warning.
The mousetrap. Disney. Bob Iger stepping down as CEO. This was something that, we all knew was coming at some point. But to do it just so abruptly on the day where Disney stock has just been hammered, I think they had to shut down Disneyland Shanghai as well.
Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
Came from none other than Steven Spielberg himself, a man who doesn't speak unless he means it. According to insiders, sometime in 2023, Spielberg made a quiet but pointed phone call to top Disney brass, sounding the alarm on his West Side. Story breakout star.
Like, it makes sense that Steven would give his baby maybe in it anymore. Like, he's taken things about as far as he can.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
His message was chilling in its simplicity. Guys, she's trouble. This wasn't just a passing comment. Spielberg had allegedly dealt with tantrums, constant delays, and behind-the-scenes tension so thick you could cut them with a prop.
Lines that they say, like magic mirror on the wall. It was a lot of fun. Broke out with his news, and I'm very, very, very excited and looking forward.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Soared. He saw the warning signs up close. The constant script interference, the diva-level behavior that rubbed senior crew the wrong way, the PR minefield waiting to explode. He called it, he spelled it out, and Disney, well, they ignored him completely. Maybe they thought they could control the narrative.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Maybe they believed they could polish the image and steamroll the headlines with glossy trailers and feminist sound bites. Maybe they figured Spielberg was just being overly dramatic. Whatever the reason, they gambled big, and they lost even bigger.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime, and let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of.
Fast forward 18 months, and it's not just the fairy tale that's shattered, it's Disney's entire live-action strategy. The budget for Snow White ballooned beyond $250 million, and the box office?
Last week was a very big week, objectively a huge week. We had quite a few announcements. It's the first live-action film, which is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me, I'm Snow White, which is so funny.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
A pitiful $183 million globally. The poisoned apple didn't just put Snow White to sleep, it sent Disney into a full-on financial coma. And through it all, one face remains in the center of the storm: Rachel Zegler. Once hailed as the future of the industry, she's now more infamous than beloved, more controversial than bankable.
Doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million, and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
She didn't just play the title role, she became the face of everything that went wrong. From her viral interview soundbites to the spiraling fan backlash, she carried the weight of a disaster Disney didn't see coming, even when Spielberg handed them a flashlight. Now, the aftermath stretches far beyond movie theaters. Boardroom. Trust is broken, shareholder confidence is rattled, and the PR team probably somewhere crying into a pile of shredded press releases. Because this wasn't just a flop, it was an unforced error. One that could have been avoided if someone, anyone, had taken the warning seriously. And so we begin, not with a fairy tale, but with a cautionary tale. A lesson about hubris, bad bets, and the very real cost of ignoring the people who've already seen the script play out before. Picture this. It's late. The kind of late where the only lights still on at the Disney headquarters belong to the legal department, the finance team, and the people dealing with problems so volatile they can't wait until morning. A secure conference line blinks to life. On the other end, Steven Spielberg. Not his assistant, not his publicist, the man himself. Fresh. Off the set of West Side Story reshoots, Spielberg isn't calling to chat. He's calling with a warning. A straight-up industry SOS. The topic? Rachel Zegler, the very same ingenue he once championed. The same actress he fought to cast as Maria, thinking she'd bring fresh talent and raw power to the screen. But, according to whispers from insiders, that early promise quickly curdled into frustration. Spielberg's crew had already started sounding the alarm. They'd reportedly been navigating a storm of unpredictable behavior. Zegler allegedly walked off set more than once over choreography she didn't like, rewrote her own lines without approval, and treated veteran team members like they were background extras. One crew member supposedly called her a one-woman HR hazard. Another described her attitude as like she thought the movie was about her, and only her. By the time reshoots rolled around, Spielberg had had enough. No more passive optimism, no more giving her the benefit of the doubt. He called the studio directly. Not with pleasantries, but with a verbal grenade. She's radioactive. Handle with gloves. Let that sink in. Spielberg, the man who turned unknowns into legends, who guided entire franchises to glory, was now trying to steer Disney away from what he saw as a disaster waiting to happen. His tone wasn't hesitant, it was urgent, firm. Allegedly, he outlined her on-set disruptions, her growing disdain for authority, and a sense that she was already seeing herself as untouchable. The implication? Cast her as Snow White and you're not just hiring a lead, you're buying a controversy. But Disney didn't listen. According to sources close to the studio, the warning was noted and shelved. Translation? They took the call, wrote down a summary, and then filed it away in the corporate version of a junk drawer. Maybe they thought Spielberg was overreacting. Maybe they were blinded by her growing social media following and early critical buzz. Maybe, worst of all, they believed they could manage her better than he could. Bad move. A massive one. Because in that one decision to ignore a legend, they didn't just greenlight a casting choice, they greenlit a chain reaction, one that would spiral into PR disasters, alienated fan bases, and eventually a box office implosion. So brutal it would make John Carter blush. And the craziest part? That was just the beginning. It's January 2024. Disney is rolling out the red carpet, the blue carpet, and every other metaphorical carpet they can find to distract from the storm clouds already forming. This is supposed to be the triumphant kickoff for their Snow White reboot, one of the most iconic properties in their vault. And who's front and center? Rachel Zegler, radiant in couture and confidence, flashing that PR-trained smile like nothing could possibly go wrong. The press. Junket is textbook Disney. Journalists are hand-picked. Talking points are tight. Everything is dripping with curated phrases like empowerment, reimagination, a princess for the modern age. Zegler calls her version of Snow White fearless. Studio execs label her trailblazing. It's all slick, shiny, and hollow, the kind of overproduced optimism that makes investors cheer and audiences cringe. But then, the internet does what it does best. It remembers. Clips begin resurfacing, old interviews, convention panels, social, media lives. In one, Zegler practically sneers as she calls the original 1937 Snow White super dated. In another, she laughs off the idea of a romantic storyline altogether. And fans, they don't forget. They don't forgive. Because if there's one thing Disney adults, nostalgia lovers, and animation purists agree on, it's that you don't mock the classics. Especially not when you're stepping into the glass slippers of a character who defined childhoods for nearly a century. Within hours, Not My Snow trends across TikTok and Instagram. Edits of the original Snow White play beside Zegler's soundbites, dripping with sarcasm and disdain. Some call it disrespect, others call it career suicide. Either way, the backlash is real, and it's spreading faster than any official Disney trailer ever did. The studio panics. Marketing strategists start spinning. They pump out glossy character posters, emotional montages, and behind-the-scenes featurettes emphasizing legacy and love for the source material. But it's already too late. The algorithm has smelled controversy, and it's feeding. Engagement is through the roof, but not the kind Disney wants. Every tweet, every post, every clip is another reminder that the audience isn't just skeptical, they're offended. And just when things couldn't get worse, a single word explodes like a grenade, stalker. From a forgotten clip to headline hysteria, that word becomes the spark that torches the marketing machine. The buzz isn't about girl power anymore, it's about whether Rachel Zegler just publicly dragged the Prince Charming character as a creep, and whether Disney's supposedly modernized take is an actual movie or just a middle finger to the original fairy tale. And the worst part, this wasn't backlash from trolls. This was multi-generational. Moms, daughters, grandmothers, even former Disney employees were caught reposting memes with side eyes and captions like, "Walt is rolling in his grave." Zegler's smirk, once seen as charming, now reads as smug. Every soundbite feels like gasoline on a fire. The press junket turns from celebration to damage control. Behind the scenes, Disney's PR team is reportedly scrambling to cut new trailers and edit out as much controversial dialogue as possible, while hoping the storm dies down before the premiere. Spoiler alert, it didn't. A resurfaced extra. TV interview clip from 2022, buried for years, dismissed at the time, roars back into the spotlight like a cursed relic. Rachel Zegler, perched on a press chair, arms crossed and tone casual, leans into the mic and smirks. Her words are simple, but laced with a razor. The original prince literally stalks her. Just like that, the powder keg ignites. Within minutes, TikTok goes feral. Stitches flood the For You page. Clips of the 1937 Snow White animated prince serenading from afar cut immediately to Zegler's quip, overlaid with captions like, "Thanks, I hate it," and "Disney really let her cook?" One edit shows the prince kissing Snow White as she sleeps, then cuts to Zegler saying "stalker" in slow-mo, scored to dramatic horror music. It's relentless. Memes, side-by-sides, reaction videos. Fan edits with sarcastic narrations like, "And here we have the original animated Predator, brought to you by Disney and approved by Rachel Zegler herself." Within 24 hours, the clip has mutated into a full-blown digital bonfire. Even people who had no interest in the remake suddenly have an opinion, and that opinion is loud. Zegler's name trends for all the wrong reasons. Comment sections become minefields. Fandom forums that once speculated over set leaks are now rage-posting decade-old screenshots from Walt Disney interviews about true love's kiss. And then it gets worse. The son of the film's producer, Mark Platt, yes, that Mark Platt, the one behind La La Land, Wicked, Into the Woods, Jonah is no industry outsider. He's a legit Broadway name, respected in theater circles, and definitely not someone who posts lightly. But this time, he doesn't hold back. He uploads an Instagram story that hits like a sniper shot. Your lead just kneecapped the rollout. Congrats. No hashtags, no context. Just enough venom to send the internet spiraling. And spiral it does. Screenshots of Jonah's post ripple through Reddit, X, formerly Twitter, and entertainment Discord servers. The message is clear. Even the people behind the camera are furious. Even they think the damage is coming from inside the castle. Suddenly, this isn't a fan-fueled backlash. It's an internal revolt. The son of the producer is openly calling out the face of the movie, and no one at Disney seems ready to stop it. The optics are catastrophic. Think about it. This is a studio built on legacy, on tradition, on multi-generational trust. And now, their lead actress is torching one of the most iconic love stories in cinema with a smirk. And apparently, with the team's own family members joining the pile-on, the narrative shifts. It's no longer about a modern twist or updated values. It's about betrayal, about disrespect, about a billion-dollar corporation letting a rookie actor light the brand's history on fire while everyone watched. Disney's silence-only fans. The flames. No public statements, no course correction, just more marketing fluff while the backlash boils hotter. And the audience, they've made up their mind. They don't want a bold reimagining anymore. They want their Snow White back. The original, the innocent. The story that didn't need to be fixed. And if Disney thought the online heat was bad, what came next would leave permanent scars. The box office had no chance. March 21st, 2025. Friday dawns, analysts predict $90 million domestic. Reality chooses chaos, $42 million. Overseas, even worse. Final global haul sputters around $183 million against a budget bloated by strike-era delays, and CG dwarfs nobody liked. Shareholder calls feel like a funeral with PowerPoints. One executive allegedly mutters, "Should have listened to Spielberg. Collateral." Damage spills into other fairy tales. Within a week, The Hollywood Reporter leaks that the live-action Tangled remake is on indefinite pause. Insiders finger the Snow White implosion. If Rapunzel's frying pan can't bash through projected losses, no princess can. Licensing. Teams freeze doll orders. Theme park planners scrap crossover parades. Investors ask, is nostalgia bankruptcy a thing? Meanwhile, Rachel fights to rewrite her own narrative. Cue the redemption circuit. Rachel pops on Jimmy Kimmel Live with remorse-infused sound bites. "I was passionate, not dismissive." Twitter yawns. Forbes tallies a sentiment analysis graph showing negativity spikes each time she speaks. PR strategists push a softer wardrobe, charity cameos, even a whispered meeting with original 1937 animators' descendants. Nothing sticks. Online culture's courtroom has reached its verdict, and it's brutal. And inside Disney HQ, tempers hit boiling point. Leaked emails read like battlefield dispatches. Merch reorder canceled. Budget cuts Q3. Digital release move forward to stop the bleeding. Completion bond insurers jack fees for any film with legacy IP plus radical rewrite in the pitch deck. One frustrated VP jokes, "We spent $260 million to teach Gen Z the word stalker." Nobody laughs. So what's left after the dust settles? Rachel's next project, a rumored A24 musical drama, hits quiet development. Purgatory. Her team pivots to indie festivals, hoping critical raves drown out mainstream ire. Disney retreats to safer bets. Pixar sequels, Marvel spin-offs, while quietly auditing every upcoming remake for fan-hostile sound bites. Spielberg's name now feels like a ghostly "I told you so" echoing through the hallways. Hollywood loves a comeback, but it loves Schadenfreude more. An ignored warning ballooned into a $100 million black eye, a stalled remake slate, and a princess who went from role model to red flag overnight. Remember the moral carved into this broken magic mirror when a legend like Spielberg phones? With a storm alert, grab an umbrella, not a shovel to bury the message, because sometimes the fairest of them all is the one who actually listens.